over here.
I didn't know that we were going to have a drama queen on the podcast today.
On the end. Hey everybody, it has been a very long time since we've seen you on the GGWP Good Game Well Played podcast, but we are back. I am Lisa.
I'm Derrick.
I'm Aubrey.
And I'm Ryan.
And we are so excited to be with you guys again. We are just 1 week out from hosting our very first 210 Game Con. We've somewhat recovered, I think.
No.
Lots of caffeine still happening in this group to make it through the days, but we just had a wonderful weekend. We could not be more excited and more happy for how everything turned out last weekend. I thought it was great.
It was awesome.
Yeah, it exceeded my expectations.
Beyond.
But I don't really know what my expectations were.
That was me.
But it exceeded them.
Yeah. I don't know what I expected walking in those doors last weekend, but it was amazing.
I think you have expectations, and you have expectations,
right.
And then you have, and so I think that we were a little cautious going in, and when we got there, it was like expectation met. So I was really happy and really thrilled with, those smiles that we kept seeing, and people kept coming up to us and giving compliments and stuff like that.
When I go to a convention, I have certain things that I like to do, and my expectation, or one of the things I was thinking about was, we tried to offer all of those at our convention. Everything that I like about going to a convention, we offered those, and so my expectation was that not everybody was going to do everything.
No.
But everybody ended up really doing everything. And so that expectation, that was kind of what my expectation was in a nutshell. But
we did.
And it was so much fun. I had a lot of fun.
And I've seen several people out and about, especially at Black Potion. I've been there a couple of times this week, dropping off stuff and going to our regular D&D night and getting to see people that I didn't even recognize before last weekend, before 210, and then walking in and saying, oh, hey, it's so great to see you, and having them recognize me, and actually, I don't know, just kind of making those connections was really, really incredible. So, so glad we did it.
Yes.
I don't want to do it more than once a year.
No, I think that's a lot.
But I'm ready for 25.
Yeah, but when we do it once a year, that gives us a whole year to put together these even more awesome ideas and to try to implement them, because the planning that went into it just facilitated everything just kind of rolling together once it got started.
We had one glitch with Excel, and that's about it for me, at least. That was my one glitch. Is I hit a wrong button and broke my macro, I know, but I got it back, so it's good. But yeah,
you might as well have just said Honf Nargles off, because I have no idea what broke the macro.
but maybe somebody else. I broke a macro. That's all. Yeah.
So we will be looking for someone that has Excel experience for 2025
will be very helpful.
to be able to be on call, so that we can say, hey, we broke a macro.
I did. I called Dave all the way out in Utah. He's with FlingCon, and I called him, and I was like, dude, you got to help me. I don't know what to do. I'm at a loss. So and he was very helpful.
Well, I gotta say, from behind the scenes, how hard these ladies worked to get all these things together.
Absolutely.
And getting the scanner to scan the games, to scan the badges, to build the badges, to make it all work together seamlessly. I gotta tell you guys, that's a lot of work behind the scenes, and that we didn't really know about before we did it, and these ladies made it happen.
Yeah.
So
thank you.
Absolutely awesome.
We'll take this.
I know, we'll take it.
So that was great.
And these guys have been fantastic too. So being real supportive, and moving boxes and carrying things upstairs and downstairs, then back upstairs, then back downstairs again.
Yeah. Super proud of that large game library we had.
But we're going to get to that.
We'll get to that.
So what we want to do is kind of recap the weekend and talk about each of our favorite things that happened. So, Derrick, what was your favorite thing that happened?
My favorite thing that happened, and what I enjoyed I guess if I have to pick the most, was the live taping of the Board and Scale podcast.
Yes.
That was so much fun. Sebastian, Kenzie, Dwayne, Kevin, they had a really nice outline. We talked about games that we liked for the year. They got the audience involved. There were prizes that you could win. I won this cool little Board and Scale bracelet. There was a prize at the very end, a raffle for one of the listeners. I mean, it was a lot of fun. There were sound effects. Mm-hmm. There were game discussions.
The show. Welcome, everybody.
Boing, and a crash, and a couple of other things.
I think there was at least one beep.
And I felt pretty in the know because I knew most of the games they were talking about, with the exception of Kevin's and Sebastian's. I had never even heard those games before, but that was still fun. I mean, it was an idea. I'm gonna have to check those out.
Very cool.
But that was a lot of fun.
They're always fun to watch, and they're such great people to be able to see them kind of like in their element and presenting that to people that don't always get to experience that with them was really, really cool. And watching it and then going back and watching what was recorded, like I smiled the whole time again. So
if you get a chance, check it out. Board and Scale. This podcast, the one that was at 210, it is family friendly.
Yes, family friendly.
So you can check that one out. And if you didn't get a chance to attend the live taping next year, you definitely need to attend the live taping because they told us that they would definitely do it again.
Yeah.
And they're one of our premier sponsors. So all of the links for their podcast and their website are still up on our website.
Which disclaimer had nothing to do with me saying that was my favorite thing.
No, but I'm just letting you know.
It was legitimately my favorite thing.
No, that's perfect.
Really well done.
But if anybody wants to find it, that's how they're going to find it. They can go to our website and it links to theirs. So yeah. Aubrey, what's your favorite thing?
Well, I was going to say, but Ryan talked about he enjoyed another panel.
Right.
So I thought that might be a good segue.
So my favorite part of it was the Weird Work panel. These guys are doing amazing things. Connor and Mike and Abel and all of their crew are creating their own game from the ground up, brand new mechanics, brand new artwork. It's incredibly creative. Got to play it while they were at their vendor table and really, really loved it. They gave away prizes, demo copies of the game, and the game's not even been released yet.
Yeah.
So they're going to be funding that on BackerKit before too long. And absolutely love what these guys are doing with their games. So keep an eye out for that.
I have to say, too, I sat in on that panel as well, and I was very impressed. I was like, wow, this is like fancy. Like
these guys have it together.
But Ryan hosted the panel, and it was very well thought out. It was very well presented, and those guys know their stuff. Like, it's serious stuff that they were talking about, like all of the lore and all of the artwork and their process and stuff. And I found it very, very informative and very entertaining as well.
Yeah, they developed that game remotely, from each other. They weren't, none of them were in the same place. So to do it, online and to do it so far away from each other was an incredible challenge for them. But they've really made it work. So, shout out to those guys for Weird Work Codex.
Yay!
So, yeah, for sure.
A round of applause.
Yeah.
All right, now you're on the.
Okay, so my favorite thing was a bit of a risk. So we went to Gen Con this year, and there was a point where people were collecting the badge ribbons, and there were people that were collecting so many of them, they go up to the second story and like hang their name badges over to try to reach the bottom. And I never saw any that reached the bottom, but like there were some that were like within 3 or 4 feet of the second story. What? So like when I think of big cons, which is something that we wanted to kind of to integrate, I think of those badge ribbons, and I think about how much fun it is to like find them. And so I'm really proud of how the badge ribbons scavenger hunt went.
Yes.
That was incredible.
Because people came up to us and like, and I'll put a picture up too. There was one of the attendees holding his badge, and it's like all the way around, like the 12 ribbons, or I think he had 12 ribbons. A square, he had his badge was like this big, and he was just like beaming.
Yeah, he was so excited
to see that. Like that didn't look like a first year con thing to me. No. It looked like something that was very established, and it looked very cool, and I just was real proud of that.
Well, and I thought she was
involved. It got everybody.
One fun thing too about that is that's a big deal at ReaperCon. So Reaper is a company that makes minis, and they have a convention every Labor Day weekend, and part of it is collecting ribbons.
Yes.
And so people who go get their own ribbons printed to be able to pass them out. Mm-hmm. So we had a couple there that had some extra ribbons.
Right.
So everyone, they were like, oh, well, this is awesome. We can just throw these on top of everybody.
The
Aloha Mafia.
Aloha Mafia.
Because of the Hawaiian shirts. Herb always wears these Star Wars Hawaiian shirts. So he and his wife Thelma had these little ribbons that they were handing out at ReaperCon.
Yeah.
And people would, well, where'd you get that one? And it became a thing, you know.
And I love the idea that the scavenger hunt made people go out of their normal habits, what they would do at the con, and go to a panel and go to the silent disco and go to do these other things that they would never have tried before. And overwhelmingly, after they did those things, they're like, I am so glad that I did that, because I never would have done that before.
I never would have played a deception game. Right. I never would have played a D&D game.
Right.
And there were so many people that came up to me, and I was like, it just made my little heart happy.
Well, and I think that kind of flows into my favorite thing, which was seeing all of the vendors and all of the people that we brought in and how much everybody loved them. And so the vendors were kind of my little group, and they all seemed so happy to be there. The attendees were going to their tables and, you know, at the very least talking to them and then buying whatever they, you know, either buying their wares or demoing their games or whatever it was. And with the ribbons, I talked to several people who said, you know, I played deception games before and I really didn't like them, but I wanted the ribbons, so I tried it again. And the group that you have here is amazing. And so, is it Central Texas Werewolves? You know, they with Jen Sweet
and Cal.
Exactly.
And Cal.
And they kind of brought this person back to, oh my gosh, I really do like deception games because your group is so amazing. And I think somebody else said the same thing about D&D. They're like, I've never really played D&D. I've heard about it. It's not my jam. But I played because I wanted the ribbon. And they talked about how Dungeons and Drunks is such an amazing group, which we already know how wonderful and amazing they are. But just the fact that they were, you know, brought into something that they normally wouldn't have done, and then found these amazing groups that we've been able to kind of put in one room was really special for me. Yeah, I think the vendors really knocked it out of the park for us. Having all of those people around and with their amazing products and their amazing games that they were demoing and all of that was just really, really incredible.
And
so
it was
that
a
was
pretty
one of my favorite
eclectic
things.
group as well. Like there were a lot of game developers, but they all had very different games.
Right. Yeah. None of them seemed to overlap. Yeah.
It was a really nice mix of talent in that room that it was. Yeah, it made me proud to see that group together.
And hopefully they'll all be back in 2025.
Yes.
I ended up with a lot of stuff. So when we come home from these big conventions, we have to get rid of snacks and get rid of old T-shirts to make room for all the stuff that we got. And I was surprised with how much stuff I ended up with. I ended up with miniatures, new games.
Yeah,
backing some things on.
Like, where did this dice come from? He was like, "Oh, I bought dice." I was like, "I bought dice too."
I have my dice earrings from Two Crazy Casters.
Dice towers. I mean, just lots of really cool stuff.
Yes.
So
it was incredible. Shirts, stickers, art prints. I mean,
Black Potion really
knocked it out of the park with these shirts. I was so excited.
There's still some available at Black Potion.
Yes, we just actually bought one for our son the other night at Black Potion, so they are still there in a lot of different sizes. So go by and check those out if you want to make sure that you have
and they're so pretty in our colors.
Yes,
I love it.
They did amazing. So in the lines of what our favorite things were and what we didn't think was going to work out so well. Because some of the things that we came up with were like, we're just going to throw it at the wall and see if it sticks.
Yeah.
And a lot of things, I'll admit, with the ribbons, when Aubrey came to me and told me how much she was spending on said ribbons, I went, "Are you nuts? Like, we've lost our mind. Like, there was the line, and now we've jumped over it." But I will eat all the crow that I can because it turned out to be an amazing, phenomenal idea that everyone loved. Like,
Thanks, man.
Just, kudos to you down there on the end. It really turned out absolutely fabulous. So, one of the things that I was most worried about, though, was our RPGs with Dungeons and Dragons. Not because of them, by no means, because I know those guys and know how professional and how wonderful they are. But up until maybe like 3 days before the con, I think maybe a few people had signed up, and I thought, oh my gosh, we have talked this up. We've gotten this group of people together, and they're seriously going to be sitting there twiddling their thumbs at their tables and not have anybody to come play. And by the end of the weekend, not only were all of their games that they had already planned full, but Kobe, who's the owner of Dungeons and Dragons, had opened up his game at least once, if not twice, and filled it. I think one of his tables, they said, had 12 players at one point, which is just incredible, because he had only planned on, I think, 6 or 8. So the number of people that went in and supported those guys and went and played D&D, either for the first time or for the 100th time, was really incredible. And even my son and my goddaughter got to play with Madi at the Princess and Princesses, whichever one it is.
Perils and Princesses.
And he absolutely loved it. That was his first time to actually get to play D&D. And he was so excited to get to play with Madi and learn from her. So, that was a great experience. I thought that, again, those guys do a great job no matter what. But I was truly, truly worried.
I'm jealous that I didn't get to play.
I know, I didn't get to play. We were too busy.
I didn't get to play.
But we play with them every week, so we're just going to have them run.
We just had to share them.
Yes, we had to share them for the weekend. Yeah. So, what was your favorite thing, or what was your thing that you were worried the most about?
I was really worried about the whole panel process because of course I've never been involved in anything like that, and I just really was concerned about wanting to represent the Weird Warp and Board Scale and all these guys make them look good. And I gotta say that one major part of that I think made us really look professional was having Enrique with Black Potion supply the sound system and the mics and all that AV equipment that we had.
Yes.
Even they were super impressed with how professional it looked. Obviously, having the mics at the right level made the sound levels right. It all really flowed really well. And obviously, I think, things ended up being well attended because we really did try to announce things quite a bit to get people back there to see that. So for me, I was concerned about the panels, but I think it just worked out really well. So big shout out to Enrique and Black Potion again for saving our bacon on with the AV equipment.
And he did that at
the 12th hour.
The 12th hour, at the drop of a hat. Because we had some technical issues at the event hall that wouldn't allow us to section off that
panel.
Just how their AV
so we had to have external AV, and Enrique was like, well, what do you need? And he actually took those speakers down from the shop.
Right.
Which let us, and let us
use
I'll just run a Blu-ray speaker. Who does that? Who is that incredible? Enrique is
not only the panels, but that room for the entertainment. That room was full for the Monsternomicon show.
Yeah,
I mean,
it was.
It was amazing. Full for the Monsternomicon. Now they brought their own AV stuff.
Sure,
but that room was full for that. People came and did the silent disco.
Yeah.
You know, it was kind of hidden off in the corner, but I thought that just to add to even the entertainment on top of the panels,
the silent
like that.
disco
that was so
tech
fun.
that made that all work. That had all these people wearing headphones and dancing and having a good time. The lights. The light show. I mean, it was
Sticky leg. Yes.
I needed a sticky leg.
I don't even know how to do that. Well, and I like that got people kind of up out of their seats. You know, sometimes at a game con, I will admit, I'm a board gamer that when I go to a con, I just want to sit and play games all weekend.
Yeah.
That's what I've slated out for the weekend. That's what I want to do. Yeah. But it is nice to get up and stretch your legs and go do something a little bit different. And so that gave people the opportunity they wanted to, And if you didn't dance, I mean, come on, guys. It was so much fun.
It was so much fun. And the videos are hilarious.
Yeah.
Having a blast, and it's like a communal event where you can hear the same music, but then somebody walks in and they're like, what is going on
here?
Because they're outside of that.
Yeah.
And the videos don't have a lot of context.
You become part of the group, and it's like, it's a party.
Well, so, a video doesn't have a lot of context because you don't hear the same things. So you're just seeing these people jamming, but you have no idea what they're listening to.
Yeah. And Derrick switched it up too. Like we had one playlist for Friday night, and then you switched it up to a different playlist on Saturday that was very popular.
Yes. I did get jiggy with it. Nice. You guys are wondering.
Nice.
No, believe it or not, I do have some music skills.
We do have it.
Very nice.
That's awesome.
And talking about music skills as well, Derrick put the Bardcore list together. That was played over the main speakers the whole time, and I did get quite a few compliments on that because people got to where they were like, okay, what song is this? I kind of recognize it, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And the Bardcore music ended up, I think, being a big hit.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was a lot of fun.
There's one song that we need to remove from there, and I'm going to have to ask the guy which one it is. He's like, man, that pinging just went straight to your head. But he was like, no, I love the music. It's amazing. But he did tell me, he's like, that one song's annoying on its own, much less hardcore. But
hardcore version.
What were you worried about?
I was worried about feeding people.
Because there's not a lot of options.
Because there are options, but when, like you were talking about, when you go to a con, you want to sit down and play. I want to go to a con, and I don't necessarily want to sit down and play, but I don't want to leave.
Because then your table's gone.
Then your table's gone, and this and that.
Yeah.
So I was worried about people having to leave the civic center, to get food. So we came up with a solution to do food trucks. And that was interesting, never having planned anything like this before.
And not knowing what that world entails.
Yeah, so I learned a lot. I will continue to learn a lot. But no, and at like Wednesday, I got a call from one of our food trucks that they weren't going to be, there was a family emergency. Mm-hmm. They wouldn't be able to be there. And so, like, panic mode set in. It's like, okay, so I'm worried about feeding these people. Now I don't have a way to feed these people.
And now we have to pivot.
Yeah.
And now we have to pivot.
A severe pivot.
Right.
And I had been talking with someone, Jules' food truck, when we first started looking, and she wasn't sure that her schedule was going to work out. So she just, out of the blue, and she was like, hey, my schedule opened up.
Yes.
Nice.
And thank goodness.
And do you still need someone for Friday? And it was like, actually, as a matter of fact, I was about to message you because yes, I do.
Yeah.
And she, her truck won best in show, I think, at Taste of New Orleans.
Right. For a Fiesta event.
Yeah. And so, like, having that quality of food truck.
And I can see why.
Oh, man.
It was
fantastic.
delicious.
It was fantastic.
Yeah.
And so
Catfish,
she came in and sold out of
like two
fish,
or three of her
gumbo,
items. Yeah.
red beans and rice, and then she was like, "Okay, when's the next one?"
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
She was wanting us to come back next week. I was like, whoa, hold on, girl. Like, I'll eat your gumbo next week, but I'm not ready to this con next
So
week.
that ended up. So like
Yeah,
that's something that I was really worried about, that I lost sleep about, is making sure that people had had food options available where they didn't have to leave. And I think that worked out as well because we had Jeremy with Slow Ride Coffee.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And that was great too. So you could get your caffeine fix. We had snacks. We obviously had Witch's Hearth Bakery, who is fantastic. And they have, Jen is so talented of a baker. So all the cookies, give me all the cookies.
I
so there
really
were like
loved
options there, you know, there were options. People had a way to not give up their table and not have to drive to 35
and
to get
have
food.
a different option every meal. Like it just wasn't the same trucks out there all the time. There was a different one for lunch and a different one for dinner, and then the ice cream truck shows up.
And
it was like awesome to give them that variety.
And she is a sweetheart too. Corey Jean is ice cream truck is. She's just a sweetheart. She's like, I'm just happy to spread ice cream happiness. And I'm like, you are a doll.
Yeah, and it was really good.
So I'm going to back it up because we were talking about the Cajun food truck.
Yes.
And Aubrey and I are from the Texas-Louisiana border.
Yes.
So Cajun food has a really special place in my heart.
Sacred.
Yes.
And so they had 5 different menu options. I personally ordered 4 of them. I got the gumbo, the red beans and rice, and the catfish. Wait, there were 4 different options.
Was there 4?
Then there was the pork chops.
And then there was a pork chop plate.
And I was like, I don't think I can eat a whole plate of the boudin tacos.
And those were delicious. We ordered those.
Man,
that was
unbelievable, so good. Anyway, that was all I had to say.
And
about
authentic.
that.
What were you worried about?
So there was a time where
long ago
when
so there I was
with said macros and scanners and boxes and moving, I thought to myself, nobody is going to check out any of these games.
But they did.
We had over 420 games, and I thought, we got a U-Haul to move the games.
Literally.
I mean, we had to carry them from upstairs to downstairs, back upstairs, and then downstairs again in some cases.
You know what? But our organization was spot on.
But
come on now.
I was afraid that, we're going to bring these there, and maybe a few of them will get checked out.
Yeah.
But the game library was completely busy.
Yes.
There were people checking out games, asking for game recommendations for certain groups, asking for teaches. And like, I know Lisa says that when she goes to a game convention, she likes to park it and play.
I do.
And in that circumstance, a lot of times we bring our own games because we don't know we don't know if we're going to be able to find the games that we want to play in the library. But the second, third day, I noticed people were showing up without their wagons anymore.
Yeah. Right.
And
there were still wagons.
There were, I mean,
not as many.
But there were not as many.
But most people were relying on that game library, which was extensive. It was
and
kind of excessive.
Like my aunt was one. Well, Sugar helped.
Yes.
Thank you, Sugar. And my aunt Jackie was the other one that helped. They kind of ran the library, and my aunt Jackie was just giddy. She was like, I loved talking to people, hearing what they liked, what they didn't like about the games. And then one time, she said at one time we had 21 games out at once, and she was like,
process.
There was one couple that played every cat game in the library.
Those are my people.
Mm-hmm. They checked out every cat game in the library.
And probably almost every one of them was mine.
Except one.
Isle
of Cats. Yeah. They said, I said, well, did you guys get a chance to play? Because they played Mutton Bustin' with me. I said, would you guys get a chance to play Isle of Cats yet? No, we didn't hear about that one. So they got their completionist cats
That's
by
awesome.
playing the Isle of Cats. I walked in there, and then that's what they were playing next.
I think that was one of the biggest surprises for me, was going through the 420 games of being like, how many I haven't played, right?
Yes.
Being like, haven't played that.
How many were still left in the shrink?
Yeah. I was embarrassed.
Well, the DoD guys were playing Oregon Trail, and I was like, oh, I have that game, and I've never played it. And then later I realized, oh crap, that was my game.
That is your game.
And they're playing it, but I'm glad somebody got to play because I've never played. But yeah, that was funny. I was like, oh, I have that game. Wait, I think that is my game.
As you guys know, as you collect board games and grow, you become a collector at some point.
Yeah.
Not so much a player.
Because there's so many choices.
Is that we're a collector of sorts, but we're also collecting not only for ourselves but for this library.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
So there are games that yes we do have that are probably not going to make it to our table because it's just not something that fits our player count or fits our vibe for that evening.
Yeah. But we know that other people do.
But we know other people like
I
it. Takes all kinds.
Never in a bajillion years put Monopoly in the game library.
It was checked out.
But it was checked out. So
it was checked out.
Somebody
three
loves
times.
that Monopoly. God bless you. It's not my jam.
Well,
but
it's an entry game.
It is an entry game. So for those that were there maybe to play RPGs and that's what they were playing and that's their favorite board game is Monopoly, via con Dios, my friends.
I think that's great too, though, is like, and this is kind of pivoting from where we're been talking about, but like in defining who we are as a convention.
Yeah.
I love that Monopoly was checked out 3 times because you're going to have those people that go, oh, well, that's not hardcore enough, or Cat Lady was checked out too many times or whatever. But I love that because this is an affirmation to me that we brought people into this community to try this hobby and to see what we're about. And I think that that's a really beautiful thing that some of these fun, silly,
lots of party games.
That's why I wanted Mutton Bustin' on the demo to win. Is because not everybody wants to sit down and play Reef Project for 2 hours.
Right.
Yeah. And
or ARCs for 18.
I think a major philosophy or a major idea of what we want to get across is that we want to be welcoming to everybody in the gaming community, no matter what your level or your level of skill is in these games. Because we've seen that natural progression where we started with simple games and went through Ameritrash games and moved into Euro games.
We still play your Ameritrash.
No, not as near as much. Not as near as much.
The 3 people that have watched all of the other podcast episodes know that Ryan is the Ameritrasher.
I love it. And let the dice decide a fate of the world. And so I say all that to say this, that I'm so glad that we've embraced at every level of player.
Yes.
And that was very intentional. And we hope to, inspire them to get out there and play.
To find a local gaming shop and to go and try something new or, pick a theme, pick a cat theme and play all the games.
Yes. Play all the cat games.
And you get a little bit of everything.
And then go adopt a cat. Because that's what you need in your life.
You do. They make everything better.
Is this cat supposed to be eating the turkey?
We're cat lovers.
Yes, we are.
We're cat lovers, for sure.
So anyway, so that's something that I'm real proud of it.
Absolutely.
Overall, I think at the end of the day and at the end of the weekend, we had a great time. Whether or not, it was a success in anybody else's eyes, it was darn sure a success in ours. We had a great time. We had a great weekend. We saw so many friends and so many new friends. I hope that they all feel as welcomed as we wanted them to. Everybody that was there, I really hope, felt our gratitude and our just excitement that they were there. It can only get better from here. It can only go up. It can only grow. It can only get better from here. I don't want this to turn into a toot our own horn situation, but we were just very, very proud with how it turned out. And like we said at the beginning, it exceeded every expectation. That could not have happened without our amazing sponsors. We had Black Potion and Board and Scale and San Antonio Party Rentals as our premier sponsors. We also have Proper Play Games and Witch's Hearth Bakery as our second tier partner sponsors. And they made it all happen. Not just with their monetary donations, but with being there, with all of their insights into helping us make it the best that it could be, offering up time and equipment and whatever skill. It was, and just skill level to make this into what it was. So definite huge shout out to them. And obviously our vendors, having all of them there and making it just a really great experience for the attendees and for us was amazing. And we've talked about the food and beverage vendors that were there and making it amazing. We couldn't have done it without those guys. So,
and from the bottom of our hearts, we really, really want to thank everybody that was on our staff that helped us. We couldn't have done it without the volunteers. Their smiling faces. Shout out to Janelyn at the front desk for her spirit is just infectious, and she was making so many people laugh and making them so happy. And
her husband Greg behind the scenes helping with the silent disco, doing all those things. John
Pallone,
always he is a pillar of the community.
I mean, John was with us carrying the games up and down the stairs and loading the U-Haul, and he went and helped us set up R210 nights at Black Potion. He has been just a huge help. So,
and Joey Menchie, not only was John running the demo twins, but Joey Menchie was also helping us out with those, making sure that everybody who wanted to demo those games had the opportunity to. So he learned some new games and was able to teach those out.
Yeah.
We talked about Sugar as well, helping, and Jackie helping in the game library. Your mom and Casey were there. Mary Lee and Casey were there helping,
Mom.
Of course. Helping us set up and tear down and making sure that things ran properly. We couldn't have done that without you guys. My dearest goddaughter Abby being there and taking up the slack for the snack table that kind of went awry at the 11th hour.
Yeah.
And my dear friend Thelma, who helped run that. So making sure that you guys had snacks and drinks and everything, that was kind of thrown together. So they made it look seamless. So all of those things to our kiddos as well, who put up with lots of craziness and probably more stress yelling than in my house than probably
you don't
should have happened. I'm waiting for Dylan to pop up in the back. You don't say that was what happened. But it definitely was a stressful process. I think even amongst ourselves.
Oh gosh,
super stressful. But worth it.
But I kept telling you though, like, yes, I'm stressed. Yes, I'm not sleeping. Yes, I feel like I could vomit at any moment for any reason. Yeah. But I had a good time.
But we
even
had
while
such
I was stressed,
even
while I was.
It was incredible.
What are the shirts going to look like? What is the scavenger hunt going to look like?
Yeah.
What is the
How are these things going to be received?
How are these things going to be received?
Yeah.
I still had fun in planning it. I still had fun in doing the running to the printer to pick up the signs.
Right.
Running, even the little mundane things.
Well, and like walking into my UPS office, like by my house, which is in Leon Springs, it's nowhere near San Antonio, and having the guy behind the counter go, when he's about ready to print our badges, and say, "Oh, I know so many people that are going to this." I'm sorry, what? you know who what?
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it, but he actually played Flesh and Blood, right?
That's right,
with you. Several years ago, and so that was really incredible. Just to hear that was super cool. So a fun process all the way around. And like, are we crazy? We're ready to do it again.
We're ready to do it.
We're ready to do it again. 2025.
Not tomorrow.
No. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. But definitely look for us again beginning weekends of October 2025. We are ironing out all those details, so make sure that you subscribe to this podcast. You like our YouTube channel and subscribe to that as well. You find us on Facebook. You find us on Instagram. all of the announcements for everything will be made there going forward. We're not going anywhere though. Aubrey and I are recommitting to the podcast now that all of the planning in 210 GameCon is finished for this year. So you'll be seeing our bright shining faces.
And we would like to thank our special guests.
Yes,
the boys.
The boys are here.
And they're going to be joining us more often than they were able to join us in the past.
Yes.
Awesome.
We're like, wait a second.
Yeah.
What's
up?
I'm looking forward to it.
I know Derrick's up for it. I'm not sure about Ryan. Are you?
Okay. Yeah. So we definitely will be hitting the airwaves with you guys a lot more frequently now that the convention is completed for 2024. But we really hope to see all of you back in 25. Bring your friends, tell your neighbors what an amazing time you had. If you didn't have an amazing time, don't tell anybody. Just let us slide.
But send us a message and let us know so that we can be better.
Yes,
right. We want to be better.
We are always welcome for some constructive critique. So definitely, if you had a great time, let us know. Truly, if you didn't have a great time, let us know what we can do for next year, because we want to always make it better. We had a great time, but we know it can get better. So from all of us at 210 GameCon and the GGWP Good Game Well Played podcast, we say GGWP.
GGWP.
Good Game Well Played. Bye, guys.
Bye.